Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. I hope you're having a fantastic and phenomenal day. We're going to take a quick peek over here at Solana, see what's going on. When we last left off, the consideration was to short in the 130 to 135 range. I'm still leaning towards that just based on the simple fact that we have liquidation above the price and basically cutting off of that 135 range. But more importantly too, just based on the simple fact that every time we've had this tariff news, these reports, they've always ended up being very bearish. Not necessarily the first immediate, but also more so just shortly after. So in other words, statistically speaking, we're more likely to pull back than to go up. I still want this coin to go up. You got to believe me. I'm not a Solana bear, but I can tell you though at this point, there's a decent chance once this liquidation has been swept, we see a pullback. It all depends on Bitcoin. And my anticipation is Bitcoin's going to pull back to the 85K range as a rough estimate. If you are curious about that, jump on over to our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord so you can kind of see my play out charts there and just kind of get an estimate of what's going on. But for right now, let's take a look here. First of all, to clarify, there are some previous shorts at 140 to 145. These are liquidation levels. Keep in mind, these are stop losses and or liquidation events that could occur. They're not like people actually in a position at that level. But a lot of times they are, because obviously that's where they will hedge their trades. Having said that though, there's still a lot of liquidation down below at 120. We can see 140 is effectively still that heavy concentration. We can see about 2-3 billion just in that little range alone. So if we do end up breaking 135, 140 would be the next target. That's kind of what that implies. We can see here liquidation delta has been pretty bullish in the last 24 hours. At least we've stayed or remained in the green, if you will. And right now we have about 1.2 billion in longs for our liquidation delta on Solana. When we take a look at open interest, we can recognize that 126 is that heaviest concentration of open interest, while the price has been wavering above and below. Generally speaking, that's kind of like the range that we're seeing the most support. Okay, so 126 is that point of control. We can see that reflected here as well, both from previous and current price action. So the probability of the price going much lower than 120, 125, 126 is low. But once more, we've seen this low, 124 level retested so many times, and this is kind of working itself out to be kind of a descending, broadening wedge pattern. And these do typically break to the downside. Okay. So that's generally the concept. I'm not proposing even if we were to break down, we're going to go too far. I think 120, 110 would be the worst case scenario, but just know that that exists and that's a potential reality for us if tariff news today doesn't come in the way that we want it to. So having said that, we are looking at the 20-day SMA working tentatively as a resistance at the 131 range. We can recognize as well that we're still under 50 in the RSI, stochastic swinging up, MACD trying to converge. A slight bounce, nothing too crazy here. So for the most part, we have some good momentous shifts, but we also have a lot of resistance above us. So keep in mind, if we do break this little barrier of 130, 135, we have a pretty significant amount of previous resistance, daily candlestick closures at 136. It's another reason why 135 feels like a good target. So just kind of throwing it out there. Once more, it's no guarantee. If we see this volume continue to maintain itself, then there's a decent chance we'll continue higher. But the problem with the market right now is that we're just not seeing a ton of volume flowing in. Bitcoin dominance is quite high, and for the most part, these are not generally favorable signs for altcoins. Okay, so having said that, 4-hour time frame, we're under 50 on the RSI. That's once more kind of that tentative resistance range for us. We can see we have a lot of positivity though on the 4-hour indicators here, oscillators, whatever you want to call them. They are effectively indicating that we are more likely to go higher than lower. We've broken through that threshold of 50 in the RSI, maintained above our moving average, and stochastic swinging up here with the MACD convergence. We've got 9 out of 10 reasons why a long position makes more sense. Just note, there is a fair value gap below the price action here because we wicked up so quick. A lot of times that profits will be taken. So hypothetically, a small short between current price point and roughly 126 wouldn't be the worst consideration ever. I would maybe recommend, just waiting for the news to happen first before you take any trades. We have a short position open with Bitcoin at 87,000. I don't have any trouble with that just based on how much resistance is above the price. And the descending trend line, there's a lot of reasons why we're probably more likely to reject out here soon for Bitcoin. But once more, I've been wrong plenty of times in the past. So good news is last month wasn't a terrible month for us. So, if you look, we did have less trades overall, but for the most part, we are seeing more profitable trades than not. So 87% isn't a bad month if you ask me, but it was very few trades considering our normal. This is roughly half the amount of trades I normally like to take in a month. So just to give you perspective there's still profits, still a lot of good opportunities out there. You really got to hunt and search for them. You can't just take the first thing that comes your way. So do you want to short or do you want to long this coin? Why don't you comment below, let me know what your thoughts are. I'm still leaning towards a short in the 135 to 136 range once this liquidation has been swept, if we were to see that. If we don't see that, then that's fine. I don't mind. We'll reevaluate tomorrow and see what's going on at that point. Either way, thanks again so much for being an awesome part of my life. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow, and check out our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. And of course, if you want to become a community member, cryptocash.tech is a site, link down below. We have a lot of new members coming over, so please ensure you read through our trade alerts, and obviously make sure you recognize that we have a signals guide for all the trade signals that I send. My fully automated trading bot that also is in there with key updates you need to make sure to be mindful of. It's all available for you. All right, folks, thanks again. We'll see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Be safe out there. Take care.